Thank you for everyone for coming tonight. We're going to open this meeting, this regular council meeting. So roll call, all members of council are present, and we open this meeting at 6 o'clock. Yeah. And we have the mayor and Councillor Taranowski who have motivated their absences. They're enjoying themselves away from the council table today. So if I can have a mover and a seconder, moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deacon. All those in favor? Motion is carried. No motion? No. Normally we do. So we'll do the territorial land acknowledgement, statement, and moment of reflection. I think we do this one first, right?
Celui, puis
Celui-là?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do the anthem after. Nous reconnaissons que nous sommes sur le territoire non cédé des Anishinaabe et les terres traditionnelles des peuples Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat et Kanien'kehá:ka. Nous reconnaissons notre obligation commune de respecter, d'honorer et de préserver ces terres et les ressources naturelles qu'elles contiennent.
Merci. Whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law, let us take a moment of personal reflection. Please remain standing for the national anthem.
Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, here all of us command, quand on va se porter les pays, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Merci, thank you. All right, we'll move to item 4, additions, deletions, and amendments. So I've got both. So put my glasses on. Okay, we're going to request that at item number 4, of the agenda. So we're adding a closed session for tonight. So we're adding to item 21, a motion to move into closed section to address matters pertaining to Section 239 of the Municipal Act, to consider matters relating to an update on a purchase of land in the township, a verbal report, Section 2C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, and closed session of report out of council, report out of closed session. And then we're going to add, Councillor Deacon has 3 items to add at 18. So 18A being McDougall Trees discussion, B, timeline on a Marge Street extension to Edie, and C, Craig and Broadway parking issue. And I have 18D, reminder of Rec Complex open house this week. Councillor Lalonde, did you have any items? No. Okay. So adoption of the agenda. So I guess it's be resolved that we we approve this agenda, or we adopt this agenda as amended. This is moved by Councillor Deakin and seconded by Councillor Lalonde. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Disclosure pecuniary interest. Hearing and seeing none. Oh, one thing I forgot to do. We forgot to move item 11C to 11A. So I'm just going to go back. We're just going to bump item C up to A and have that discussion first. Okay?
Yes, Councillor Acting Mayor, is the mover and
Mover and
seconder
seconder, okay?
okay with that?
Okay,
Thank
yeah,
you.
everyone's okay. So what we did, everyone, we just moved item C to A. We'll deal with that one first, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the council meeting. Adoption of the minutes. Be resolved that we approve the minutes as presented. This is moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deakin. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion is carried. Presentations, we have none. Delegations, we have none. Consent items. Okay. So votes on the minutes. Okay, be it resolved that we approve the minutes as presented, or count the consent items as presented. This is moved by Councillor Deakin, seconded by Councillor Lalonde. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So move to item 11, and as per previous, we're going to go to 11C. Parks and Recreation Facilities Bylaw Report, PIC 04-2023. That council received, yeah, so that's the actual resolution. For this item, I know there's a lot of people here for this item tonight. Council has had a brief opportunity to look at it since Wednesday, and there's a lot of questions on this item. I know I have a lot of questions as well as the rest of council, and I think at this point we should ask for comments from residents to administration, and we should forward our comments to the administration as well, and have this item deferred and brought back to council at a later date, whether it's in August or September, to go through what was there, what is being proposed, so that we can have a good view of what's coming to us and why this was done. I understand it's a consolidation of multiple bylaws in the past that have been changed or altered or amended, and now we want to consolidate it into one. But it makes it very difficult as council to see what was there and what is being changed to or proposed to. And I know sometimes in some documents, something was already there, but you didn't know it was there until you actually see it in another document, and it kind of stands out. So I don't know what items those would be, but I think the proper decision tonight would be to defer this item, and we can do that at 16 and remove it and defer it. I'm going to ask council what their thoughts are on that. Councillor Lalonde?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree. I think we just got this material on Wednesday. There was, especially as a new councillor, looking at what's being proposed, and I have quite a few questions, so I think it would be best, as you suggest, to give staff and council, and if the public wants to make some comments about it, to do so, but to defer it so that we have a chance to get a good comparison later on, to be able then to make an informed decision.
Okay. Councillor Deakin?
I also support deferring this item. I just want some clarity around, for the folks in the room as well, how those comments can be put forward from the public.
Yep, I'll pass that over to Mr. Fawnin, if you can make a brief statement on that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. Yes, this is a composite document, effectively an accumulation of issues that have arisen since the original bylaw came in 1991. So it's a fairly complex document, and that's why we're recommending that people treat it as a new document rather than spending too much time on comparatives with a very dated document. But comments can be sent to the Director of Bylaw Enforcement, Public Safety, in order to sort of consolidate those comments. I think what will be required probably is more some clarification in some of the wording used in the bylaw. I think that's what's causing some of the confusion. It's not the items themselves, but just clarifying the wording as well. And then we'll bring it back late August.
Okay, so we're talking the August 28th meeting is what you're proposing?
Correct.
Okay. So if anyone from the public, whether you're here or you're watching online, you want to make comments to this proposed change or this proposed new bylaw, consolidating previous amendments to the bylaw that was brought in 1991, please do so by emailing Madame Bourdeau. So I guess that would be millie.bourdeau@russell.ca or milliebordeaux@russell.ca, and she'll be happy to accept your comments. I don't think there'll be a lot of back and forth. I think it's just an accepting of the information so that we know and can share everyone's concerns. Council is going to take that opportunity as well and get clarification on that item. Okay? Oh. Sorry. Yeah. The actual bylaw itself is available through the meeting agenda on our website. If you go to the meeting agenda and you go right to the section 16, and it's the bylaw is there. The new bylaw is there. Okay, so that's where you can get it. Okay. So when we get to item 16 tonight, we're going to ask to separate it. Madame Camille, can you separate that item? We'll deal with it separately, and we'll ask for that item to be deferred at that point in time.
Yes, and at resolution, we'll have to separate this item as well.
And the resolution will separate it as well.
This- yeah.
I don't think any members up here of council will have any comment or question on the actual resolution and bylaw since we're deferring it. So at this point in time, if you're only here for that item, there's going to be no further discussion about it tonight other than deferring it. You can make all your comments to Madame Bourdeau by email. So you are free to stay for the rest of the meeting, or you are free to get up and go on your evening. Not that we don't want you here, but if you have other things you want to do tonight, please feel free to get up. We'll give you a couple minutes and you can head out. But I thank you very much for coming out this evening. Oh, yes, sorry, before you go, just so everyone knows, Wednesday night at 6:30, Madame Guital, or 6 o'clock? 6:30 in this room is the open house for the recreational complex project. So you can come in, and I think it's for 2 hours? So it's an open house between 6:30 and 8:30. You can come in at any point in time. You can look at the billboards. You can talk to the consultants, talk to staff. They'll be here with all the information regarding the complex. So I just want to get that out as people were walking out. Thank you, Councillor Lalonde. Okay. All right. So we'll move to report 11A, Zoning Bylaw Amendment Report PD 29-2023, Embrum Station Subdivision. The council received report PD 29-2023 dated June 26 and approved the zoning amendment application submitted by John Corvinelli Investments, Inc. to change the zoning from residential 3 withholding R3H to residential 3R3. Any questions or comments from council? Nothing. Anything further from staff on this item? No? Thank you very much, Madame Tremblay. We'll move to the next item. Extension of a draft plan of subdivision known as Pet Node St. Mattie East Subdivision, file number 080S11008, report PD 33-2023, for a property legally described as part of lots 7 and 8, concession 7 in the village of Embrun. And it will read, the council received report PD 33-2023 dated June 26, 2023, and approve a 5-year extension of the draft plan of subdivisions approval for the Faubourg Sainte-Marie East subdivision, files number 080S11008, submitted by Annis O'Sullivan Volbeck as applicant for the owners, Melanie Construction, Inc. Any questions from members of council? Anything to add from staff? No? Okay. We'll move on to item 11D, automated speed enforcement, PIC verbal report. I'm assuming this is Madame Bordeaux? Through you, Mr. Fonda, Madame Bordeaux.
Yes, so this is just an update on the automated speed enforcement. So basically, in February, Global Traffic did a presentation in reference to the proposal. They informed us that they would supply the signs, the administrative staff, and whatever is required to do the speed enforcement. This company is proposing a no charge to the township for the use of speed enforcement, but it's a recovery cost of 50% of the fines issued through this method. So we did speak to other companies, and the cost was significantly higher for this type of enforcement. So presently we are in negotiation with this company, and we have also incorporated the counties into this conversation. So they would be interested in participating, but due to the fact that there are different level of government, they have to have their own agreement for this type of enforcement. This being said, is that there are areas in the municipalities that the township will have to identify as either school zones or community safety zones, and the counties will have to do the same on their side within our municipality. So there are zones that are not properly identified at the present time. So these would be costs that the municipality would encounter. For example, École Saint-Jean on Notre-Dame would need to be identified, and I believe that's it for the counties. And we have the public school on Mill Street that would need to be identified. There's also the possibility to add a community safety zone once the library moves into the community center. So speed radar enforcement can only be enforced in those two types of zone, being school zone or community safety zones.
And remind me as well to, like, because I heard this the other day and I wanted to make sure, is that if there is any zone that is, let's say it's a 50 zone that turns into a 40, we don't have any flashing light, turns 40 when flashing anywhere in the municipality. It's always 40 throughout those areas?
I believe so. The only flashing light is during school hours.
But it's always 40 there anyway, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's 40 throughout
Yeah.
the township.
Okay. Because my understanding of the photo radar enforcement or the automated speed enforcement zones cannot be in an area that has a when flashing type of monitoring. So.
No, that's only when the speed limit is higher than 40.
Right. Right. And it's not. So that's good. Okay.
So
is
there
that
are 9 possible locations presently identified.
okay? And is that going to come back to us then at the next meeting?
We had discussions for the proposed company, so we're just waiting for them to get back to us with those
Okay.
answers, and then we'll be in a better position to bring you the agreement and everything that it entails.
Excellent. That's great. Any questions, Councillor Deacon?
Yeah, it's great to hear that things are moving forward on this. I know that this is a priority for a lot of residents in those zones in our community. I was just wanting to check on the type of apparatus that would be used. It would be stationary, or it would be possible to move it around the community as needed?
Yeah, Madame Bordeaux through Mr. Fawnin.
Yes, these, they would not be at all locations at the same time. There is requirements for warning residents that this is actually going to be installed, and then there's a notice saying where it is, and the signs are moved from location to location. So this is one area that I want to determine how many will be used at any one time. Is there more than one? Is there 2, 3?
So just to clarify, so the movement of these would only be within those 9 specific locations that where they can be used in school zones and whatnot. They can't just be anywhere willy-nilly that
No.
we want to put it because somebody asked for speed enforcement on their subdivision
Exactly.
road, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Councilor
And
Deacon?
just a comment on that as well. So according to the Highway Traffic Act, it is limited to those types of areas, as I understand. And so just putting it out there for the community to understand that this means that these things cannot be placed in construction zones to protect or to, deter speeding to protect the workers. And they also cannot be placed in places for special events such as in front of a fair or something like that. So just wanted to put that as a comment out there.
Thank you very much. Mr. Fawnin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to put some context in this, as the councillor pointed out, there are regulatory limitations to where these can be placed, and they can't be placed just at pure discretion. So that means it forms part of our broader traffic calming measures activity. So in addition to these machines that we'll be putting up once we've worked out the kinks with the counties and the companies, is we're looking at other traffic calming measures such as bollards and the rest of it. So those would help to do some of the calming in the residential areas as well that people are concerned with.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? No? Thank you very much, Madame Bordeaux. Mr. Fawnin? We will move to item E, festival license for a special event with alcoholic beverages. Report Echo Dev 04 2023. The council received report Echo Dev 04 2023 dated June 26, 2023 and approved the request by the Russell Township Economic Development Department for the public event special occasion permit liquor license for the Russell Meet Me on Main Street event being held on July the 13th, 2023. Any questions or comments from members of council? Anything to add, Mr. Fawnin, Madame Tremblay?
No, thank you.
Okay. That's one thing we should also mention. Sorry, I'm just adding it to the list here, I forgot. Okay. Item F, intersection upgrade addition to budget report ISPW 13 2023. The council received report ISPW 13 2023 dated June 26 2023 and approved to add the design of the intersection of Castor and Edie to the 2023 capital budget. I think this is the request that council made recently regarding the addition of streetlights at Castor and Edie. And we'd asked for them to bump that, the United Counties to bump that to 2024, but we had to design it for this year. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. So it's a formality to put it on our budget so we can start working on that project.
And just a reminder, those costs are coming out of development charges?
Exactly.
Okay. Questions from council? Councilor Lalonde.
Just a question, I know they're coming out at DC charges, because it's a county road, is there any sharing of that cost with the counties out of that 750?
Through Mr. Fawnin, Mr. Bourgon.
Merci, Acting Mayor. So at this time, no, it would be 100% municipality since it's really based on growth, and it's identified in our DC that way as well. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Item G, Community Grants and Contributions, Report PR 10, 2023. The council received Report PR 04, 2023. Is it Report PR 10 or is it PR 04?
PR 10.
Okay, I'll just correct that then. The council received Report PR 10, 2023 dated June 26, 2023 and support the following department's recommendation regarding some community grants: to approve an in-kind grant in the amount of $859.75 to the Russell Legion to hold a free community breakfast on Canada Day on July 1st, 2023 at the Russell Arena. And 2, to decline an in-kind grant in the amount of $842.64 to Doug Long and Devin Kunkel for the rental of the North and South Baseball Diamonds in Russell for the Russell Community Co-ed 3-pitch tournament from July 21st to 22nd, 2023. Any questions from members of council on this? Councillor Deakin.
Yeah, on the second one, I was just wondering in terms of the way that the policy is applied, if it would be possible when informing them that if they could approach perhaps the Legion to request sponsorship for that sort of application. My understanding is we're receiving the recommendation to decline it on the basis of not having a board of directors. So if they're fundraising for an organization that does have a board of directors, I'm hoping that information would be shared.
Okay, Madame Guital.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Acting Mayor, and members of council. Yes, but like if you, I also stated in my report that this is a second request from these two gentlemen. Last year, they did request some funds for another fundraising event for Township. As per policy, I have no choice to not recommend the grant application because of the non-existence of a board of directors, but council has the authority to overrule my recommendation and allow Mr. Long and Mr. Kunkel to hold their tournament. And we also request a final report for every grant that is given out to community groups or individuals. So definitely we would ask to see where the money went. So if this is council's wish, we could still recommend, we could still overrule this recommendation, and I would make sure that the money did go to the Legion. Or on the other part, I would ask them to ask the Legion to request, but then it's not going to come back to council before the end of August.
Yeah, okay.
Just a
Councillor
follow-up
Deakin?
question, if I may. I think we've seen applications come through to council after the event's been held. Is there a deadline for that to happen, or?
Well, usually it's 31 days prior to the event, but you're right. We've seen that many times after the fact. It's just that we would have to ask these two gentlemen to hold the money to give back to the Legion, if that's the case. If this is where council wish to go.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask that this item be removed. And do you have any questions at all, comments? And I'm going to ask council to actually approve this item. And hopefully we can look at that and see. The staff has to decline it. We know that based on policy, staff has to decline it. We have the opportunity up here to change that decision if we feel that the event is in the best interest of the community. And I think this is an event, they're raising funds for the community, they're raising funds for the Legion to help with to help that wonderful organization. We have the funds available to us. I think it makes sense for us to approve that item, and I'm going to ask that be done at the time of the resolution. So if there's any other comments right now, or we can talk about it more at the resolution stage. So thank you very much. We'll move to item H, recommendation 2023-001 of the Parks and Recreation and Culture Advisory Committee pedestrian crossovers. The council received recommendation 2023-001 dated April 13th, 2023 from the Parks, Recreation and Culture Advisory Committee with respects to pedestrian crossovers. Any questions from members of the committee on this item? Okay. And we're just receiving this, Madame Camide?
Yes,
Just
unless
receiving
one of the council
Okay.
members or their chair wants to do a separate item and amend the resolution.
Okay. Anything from staff, Mr. Fawnin, on this item? No? Okay. We'll move on to item number 12, report from an investigator or an ombudsman. We have none. Notices of motions. We have none. We'll move to question period on meeting of the day. If you have a question or comments, si vous avez une question, une question, je veux dire, questions only. I'm thinking back to my planning, chairing of the planning committee. So questions only, please. Just state your name and address for the record.
Charles Nussbaum, 85 Castlebow. It's concerning 11D, the automated speed enforcement. Of those 9 areas, is the Saint Augustin near the entrance to Pavillon La Croisée included in those 9 areas? Because I know there, the speed limit goes up and down in that school zone by flashing light. Because the normal speed is 50 when the lights are flashing, it goes down to 40.
Okay. Mr. Fawnin, Madame Bouldeau.
I'll have to double check. I'm not 100% sure, but all the school areas will be identified.
So all the locations will come back to us in a report.
Yes.
Because council hasn't seen all the locations either yet, so just the verbal report that we got this evening. So more to come on that one.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening. Cindy Sose, Russell, 113 George.
Thank you.
I just was wondering if I could still ask a question, even though the Parks and Rec bylaw was deferred. Because I sort of feel waiting till the end of August, and there's still a lot of questions, and
But I think if you do have a question, the best thing
I
to do
do.
is to send it to Madame
just
Bouldeau.
send the question in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that way because we haven't even opened it up for any kind of discussion on it. So
Yeah.
I think the best thing to do is if you have a question, comment, or concern with that bylaw,
Yes.
to send it to Madame Bouldeau.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
Tony Bass, 760 Route 200. About the installations of the automatic speed things.
Yep.
I was just wondering, how many were we planning on installing in the Township of Russell?
Through you, Mr. Fawnin, Madame Bouldeau.
I'm not I didn't understand.
I think he's asking how many would we plan on installing at any one point in time?
Well, I would think that maybe, and how many speed radars?
Yeah, like for the new program that you just talked about tonight, you said that there's 9 potential locations. How many actual,
As indicated, I said that we have to still discuss with the company and see how many they're proposing to install and how often we're going to move them.
okay,
So, but I would assume at least 2,
so more than 1, less than 9, until the report comes out.
yes.
More than 1, less than 9.
All right.
Yeah. I look forward to that report coming in. Any other questions, comments, questions? Plus d'autres questions pour nous autres? No? Okay. We'll move on to resolutions. A motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under item 11, reports from departments and council meetings. We have to put it on the table first, Madame Camide. So this is moved by Councillor Deacon, seconded by Councillor Lalonde. And now we need to make an amendment to remove
11C and G.
11C and 11G. Can I get a mover and a seconder, Councillor Lalonde, and seconded by Councillor Deacon, to remove item 11C and 11G? All those in favor? Amendment is carried. So those 2 items are removed and will be dealt with separately. I'll call the question for all other resolutions. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So we'll move to item 11C. Is there a member of council that wants to make the motion, move a motion to defer? Councillor Deacon, seconded by Councillor Lalonde, to defer this item to the next council meeting of August the 28th. All those in favor? Motion is deferred. We'll move to 11G. And that is regarding the community grants. So that one would read, that council received report PR 10 2023 dated June 26, 2023, and support the following department's recommendation regarding some community grants. To approve an in-kind grant in the amount of $859.75 to the Russell Legion to hold a free community breakfast on Canada Day on July 1st, 2023 at the Russell Arena, and to decline an in-kind grant in the amount of $842.64 to Doug Long and Devin Kunkel for the rental of the North and South Baseball Diamonds in Russell for the Russell Community Co-ed 3-pitch tournament from July 21st to 22nd, 2023. This is moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Deacon. Any questions, comments, or amendments on this item? I'll go over here, Councillor Lalonde.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Acting Mayor, that it's worthwhile to go through with this.
Okay.
I wonder if there couldn't be a condition added that maybe there be a confirming letter of receipt of funds on the part of the Legion.
I think that is something that's already there, is it not? That to confirm, no, so to direct that we get a letter. Okay.
So I think I would be happy with that.
Okay. So, Mr. Fun, I think that's just a direction of council to ask for that. And I think so. The amendment that I'm assuming you're asking for is to change the word decline to approve. Okay, so you're going to move it. Councillor Deacon not seconding it? No? Then I'll second it to approve the request. So I'll call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? I'm in favor. Against? Councillor Deacon? I guess so. So that motion is approved. And that's all you need, Madame Kamide? Okay. That was the amendment. Now we have to vote on the actual item as amended. All those in favor? Motion is granted. Okay. And council has asked for a letter of confirmation from the Legion that they receive the funds afterwards. Okay. Staff has, for those in the watching online, staff has agreed that yes, they will be requesting that. Okay, now we go to bylaws, item number 16. Motion that council approve bylaws 2023-069 to 2023-072 inclusively for first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. I'll get this on the table first. Moved by Councillor Deacon. We have to separate it after it gets put on the table. So moved by Councillor Deacon, seconded by Councillor Lalonde. So we have to remove Madame Camire.
Since item 11C was already deferred, I can just put a note that this item was deferred as well at
Okay.
11C. So if you don't want to remove it, that's fine. I'll just remove it from the bylaws.
Okay, so that's good then? Okay. Was there any other items that anybody wanted to speak to, or before we go ahead and call the question? Councillor Deacon?
Yeah, I'm happy to give some context to the 2023-070 being a bylaw to amend Schedule D2 terms of reference of the Teen Advisory Committee.
Please.
That we're making, proposing this amendment to the bylaw in order to extend the reach of recruitment of teens. We know that there are a lot of teens that reside in the Township of Russell, but attend school outside of the schools that are located here, as well as people who are pursuing their education at home. So we wanted to open up the recruitment, and we had a need to do more recruitment for the committee, so we thought that it would be a good time to propose this amendment.
Okay, excellent. And I'll just add some context to item 6.9 then, and which is the acting mayor appointment. So with the current mayor out of the country and the acting mayor soon to be out of the township for a period of time, the acting mayor, Councillor Lalonde, will be acting mayor from the 28th of June to the 2nd of July. So, all right. So that all being said, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. All right, we'll move to item number 17, new business reports. We have none. We'll move to item 18, other business, business presented by council members. We'll go to 18A, McDougall Trees. Councillor Deakin?
Thanks for allowing me to add this to the agenda tonight. I think that sometimes big decisions are made for folks in terms of, I know tree cover, especially in Russell, is something that folks are quite passionate about. And there's been some wonderful communication sent out about measures that are going to be taken by the administration to replace ×2 or ×3 the trees that will be removed on Craig Street and in McDougall Park. But I thought it would be helpful to provide, if the administration would be so kind to provide tonight, some rationale to the residents as well on just a technical briefing as to why those trees particularly needed to come down and what sort of weighing or balancing of priorities was done in the decision.
Okay. I'll throw this to Mr. Fawnin, and then you can spread it out. Thank you, Mr. Fawnin.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. As pointed out by Councillor Deakin, quite a bit of analysis goes into the requirement, and certainly taking down mature trees is never taken easily here because we know that the value of holding by residents and the administration. So in this particular case, this relates to a very significant project ongoing in the area and the inevitability of having to do some removal because it was right in the middle of the working sections of the project. So I'll allow Mr. Bourgon to go through some of the technical details, how they came to the analysis in those particular cases.
So when we started that big project of the full reinstatement of our storm sewer on Craig Street, we determined that a piece going to the north, so a storm sewer going to the north, had to be replaced, and that section is actually on entirely on private property. So that piece of infrastructure is required to provide proper drainage to a portion of the subdivision to the north, being Parkland and Tweed area. So that storm sewer need to remain in place. So part of our exercise was to see how can we replace it, relocate it, so it's mostly on township property, like to avoid buying the full piece of property. So with the elevation as well on Craig Street being a limited factor, so that was our best options, was to go around that private property and along that property line between private property and township property, being McDougall Park in this case. So unfortunately, with that relocation, to maintain the proper storm drainage in place, we have to cut down those trees along the property line. So we did contact South Nation to do a full evaluation of type of trees, make sure there's no endangered species, and to assist us in the replacement plan of those trees that need to be cut down. So we have a full inventory of types of trees, so we'll be replacing like for like, and with the ratio of 2:1 or 3:1, depending of the size. And we will also be buying bigger caliber trees, part of that exercise. We know we are taking down some really nice trees, but we know that there's going to be a use for that good wood as well. And again, we are replacing with more trees. And I think like on a separate project, and since we're talking about trees, we just completed a planting of almost 400 trees near our snow dump facility. So I think that's also worth mentioning here since we're talking about tree replacement.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Deacon, does that answer your question, some of your question, or did you have another comment on that?
I'll do a follow-up question. I could talk all day about trees. Just curious what happens with the lumber from those trees. You said that the wood will be put to good use. It is a township asset, technically, that wood, and I'm sure there are all sorts of things that could be done with it to support the township to benefit our community.
So basically the company that was hired to take down the trees, part of the agreement is to keep the tree, but we're also having a much lower costs to the entire project because of that.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move to item 18B, and this is timeline on Amal Street extension to Edie. This is Councillor Deacon again.
I wish that we had broken up the lineup. It's going to be a lot of me. The next
I'll
couple
jump in on the
minutes.
next one, how's that?
So, yeah, just wondering if, we had our meeting a couple of, maybe a month or so ago on water and sewer at 417 Industrial, and I've had some questions from residents living around that area, particularly wondering about the Amal Street extension to Edie Road from the current industrial park. So I would appreciate an update from administration on what would the timeline for that project be, and what would the steps be in terms of traffic study. Does Edie require upgrades for heavy truck traffic, for example, as well?
Okay, Mr. Fawnin?
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. I think that's a double-barreled answer, one from planning and one from infrastructure. So I'm going to turn to Ms. Tremblay to talk about the actual overall project, and then we can work our way down to some of the technical details going into the analysis.
Okay, thank you. Madame Tremblay?
Good evening. So the extension for Aymar, part of it is already built. So in the budget of this year, we added half of the construction cost for design as well, and for half of the street, and the other half would be in about 3 years. So technically, the overall road construction connection from Aymar, where the existing point is, to Edie Road would be completed in 3 years. So we've also applied for a grant application that was submitted last week to help us with the cost of the construction of Aymar Street. And in the budget timeline, that's what we included. So design this year, construction of part of it next year, and completed at the year after in 2025. I'm thinking my years. So this is a worst case scenario. Obviously, our business plan for the 417 Industrial Park was also done based on that we would sell those land as fast as possible. So in order for us to be able to sell the land that we purchased in 2022, we need to have that road so that businesses could have access to their property. So we're gonna obviously try to accelerate that timing as much as possible to be able to accomplish our business plan. For the road traffic, that's the other part of the question that me and Mr. Bourgon discussed. At this point, it's too premature to have a road traffic study, impact study to be done, since we don't know the type of businesses and type of circulation that will be mainly done in that sector of the park. So depending on what type of businesses that we're selling it to, a traffic study could be done after that we know more about those businesses. So I don't know if Mr. Bourgon wanted to add anything about the timing, or?
Well, thank you. So what I can add for traffic study, it would be mainly to look if the intersection or the connecting point with Edie needs an upgrade of a turning lane or something like that. So that would be exactly how far that traffic study would go. Because we did one for the entire park to look at the access to the 417. I believe it was back in 2016. So it would be just to look at the intersection themselves.
Okay, Councillor Deacon, follow-up?
Would there be any possible scenario where we do extend Amal Street to find out later that heavy trucks cannot go down, up and down Edie Road?
Mr. Bougon?
If an upgrade is required on 80, it's a really short length, so nothing that would not be, prevent heavy traffic to move that, like to do that circle back to Burton Road.
Just-
Okay.
Just to
Excellent.
clarify.
Madame Tremblay?
Yeah, just, so it would be the new road from Emar Extension, Edie Road, up the way north. So
To Burton,
To Burton Road, yeah.
and then out that way. And correct me if I'm wrong, Burton Road is scheduled to be done by Ottawa in 2025, I think the last report we got.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the latest we've heard from the city. It's still.
So the timing would probably work well there if needed for an upgrade to that area, so. All right, so we'll move to item C, and we'll keep Councillor Deacon busy. Craig and Broadway parking.
Merci pour l'image, Madame Camille Laflamme. So I was alerted to an ongoing issue at Craig and Broadway in front of the Tim Hortons. We have trucks parking sort of onto the lawn there. And I checked in with administration on some possible options to remedy the situation. So I just thought I would raise this tonight for perhaps council to have a discussion and receive that presentation of options from the administration.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to look at that and see. I guess the question becomes is that our property? If it's not, then what do we do? If it is, then I think we need to get a report back to council with options on how to fix that. So, Mr. Fawnin, I guess the question, I'll put the question to you then. What do we do?
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. So this issue apparently has come up previously, I'm led to understand from staff, where council decided not to go forward with a particular fix with it because the options were somewhat limited. So the land, I believe, is our land. Is that correct? It's township land. But because of the limitations placed by the county on entrances and exits from Victoria, or Castor at that point, or Craig at that point, they're not allowed to build an entrance there. So that precludes that from being used as an entrance. If we build it, we're going to have to pay for it, according to the owner of the Tim Hortons. They won't accept any liability for it. So the report that will come back will basically be a cost, and council will grapple with that cost versus the benefits of doing so. The other options are to put up no parking signs right on the lawn. We believe that with an initial estimate, that simply pushes the problem to other parts. It'll push it farther down the street, so we could put no parking signs along the whole lane. That would likely push the problem onto the Foodland parking lot. The fact of the matter is there's simply not a tremendous amount of turnaround space or parking space in that lot, and it leaves us with very few and non-monetary solutions.
So just a quick question, then I'll turn it over. When you said other options that we would have to pay for, are you talking an entrance onto Craig Street, or are you what were you talking next? I didn't
So
understand.
one of the options was to create a parking, sort of a lay-by, actually pave it.
Oh, okay.
Instead of it being just make a little lay-by so people can actually park their cars. We'd have to study what kind of traffic or safety limitations that would place on that particular road, because I imagine residents would be a bit frustrated with cars parked there blocking, two-way traffic to come down, many of which are large trucks. So that might not be one of the solutions. So there's a series of not great solutions to this. So we'll bring back a specific report with all the solutions, and council can then
Okay.
dialogue on that.
Councillor Deacon, did you have a follow-up on this?
Yeah, just a comment that I think that what's happening now is also not ideal. I think that it's also blocking traffic because, as you can see by where the wheels are going, you don't have a whole parking spot there, or the whole width of a vehicle. So no matter what, we are blocking traffic when that happens now as well. So just wondering if it was in administration's view that a physical barrier would be a possibility where it would have the trucks right on the road. It's a little bit more black and white than gray.
Mr. Fawnin? Madame Bouldeau?
I think the problem with the traffic is there's only one drive-through open and people are queuing into the road.
So not necessarily the parking on the road, it's more the
Well,
queuing.
It's because the queuing and the parking, then it creates a road hazard, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
So at this point, what's going to happen is, for Mr. Fawnon's comment, is that a report will come back to us regarding options for this area. And I think that's what you were looking for in terms of by bringing this up to council. So I think we'll wait for another discussion on this from staff at a later meeting. As someone who utilizes this area on a daily basis, I can say that yes, there is it is mostly big trucks that will park there because they have nowhere else to park. So, okay. Councillor Lalonde.
Well, I live in that neighborhood too, and I think we have a serious issue because of those trucks. The cars that are coming out of the subdivision are having to go around them and go into the oncoming lane. And I've seen some close calls because the trucks are so big, the cars have to go completely out into the next lane. This is a risk. The other challenge is, I mean, up ahead at that corner, you have trucks also double parked or encroaching on Craig and the lawn up there as well at that corner. So this is a.
But there isn't no parking on the front on Craig.
know.
So they're parking illegally on Craig.
Yeah.
Right? So.
But what they're doing here is putting their vehicles up on the lawn where there is no parking space allocated for that purpose.
Yeah. And that's why staff's going to come back with a report on what to do with that.
I look forward to that.
I think we all do. Any other comment on this? Thank you very much for bringing all those items. I just realized that the item that I had put at 18D for myself would actually be under 20, so I'll wait till announcements and come back on that, on those items. We'll move forward to number 19, public consultations or hearings. Consultation publique, on en a pas. Announcements. Do members of council have any announcements that they would like to bring to the attention of the public? Councillor Deakin?
Just a reminder as we're breaking for the summer that the Meet Me on Main event is happening in Russell on the evening of July 13th. And so that may very well be when I see some other councillors again for the first time and having a little break, and really looking forward to seeing residents out there and hoping to have a lot of discussions with you there.
Excellent. Councillor Lalonde?
And before that event happens, right in front of my house, there'll be the Canada Day celebrations on July 1st, and that's where I get to be acting mayor that day to actually open the ceremony. So if you'd like to meet the acting mayor on Canada Day and come out, more importantly, to celebrate with us and the Lions and the Ag Society over at the Ball Diamonds, we look forward to seeing you.
And the Legion with their pancake breakfast on that morning as well that we talked about earlier. So a big collaboration of all different social groups on that day. So, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's also an event on June the 30th, the night before, where the Lions and the Ag Society are putting on a concert that evening as well. So in support of their Canada Day festivities. So a whole weekend planned of special events. So, yeah, action-packed, exactly. I will add in, and I said it earlier, but I'll say it again, the Rec Complex open house on Wednesday, June 28th, from 6:30 to 8:30. It's, again, as we've said many times, probably the largest infrastructure project that this township has ever put in and may ever put into this area. So please come out, have a look at the information, share your comments and concerns with staff and the consultants, because it is a facility that's going to be for everybody. Those were all mine. Anything else? Nothing? All right. So now we will move into closed session. Let me pull up the... Do we need a mover and a seconder? Oh, sorry, can I just go back, everyone, to announcements area? There was one thing that did come up regarding the Craig Street closure that went up this morning, and a concern regarding the cars zipping through the McDougall Tweed Parkland areas. So I don't know if we have any type of mitigation measures that we wanted to use, whether we were putting up any speed signs or anything like that to slow down traffic in that area. Because I've been notified by a few residents, I don't know if you guys have had comments today or not, but that people are cutting down and then going down McDougall and then zipping through and coming around. And I know that they're using Forest Road as well, because 200 to Forest or 200 to Hamilton and back around. So just something to consider for administration is that people are using those areas as detours, and that's a very well-packed of children in that area. So we want to make sure that no one's speeding through those areas just to get their Timmies or to go to Foodland or to go to Home Hardware to pick up some stuff. So I'll leave that to you, Mr. Fonan. All right, so move into the closed session. I just have to get the wording here from Madame Camille. It's in my email, so I'm just pulling it up here. So a motion to move into closed session, a closed meeting to address matters pertaining to Section 239 of the Municipal Act, to consider matters relating to an update on a purchase of land in the township, a verbal report, Section 2C, proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, and then we'll report out a closed session after that. So if I can have a mover and a seconder to go into closed session, moved by Councillor Deacon, seconded by Councillor Lalonde. All those in favor? Motion is carried. We are now in closed session. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming out this evening. And if we don't see you, I'm going to say it now and I'll say it again, but have a great summer holiday, and we'll see everyone in August. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.